go. Okay, to business I go. So, this month's art class is about clothing. I had you guys vote in the server about what you guys wanted to see next, and we had an overwhelming amount of votes for clothing, so that is what I decided because I will please the people. Look forward to more of those votes because I am, in fact, an indecisive bitch and I really never know what I'm gonna do the class on. So, voting helps me, and I really don't like. I'm fine with teaching many different topics and can, you know, whatever you guys want. I'm pretty sure I have experience on it, and if it's something I don't have experience on, I'll probably research it and try to dumb it down for everybody else. Um, Before we get too into the thick of things, I am legally required to introduce myself at every class. So my name is Moon. My artist username is Moonjora's Mask. I have been an artist for many, many, many years. Ever since I could pick up a pencil, I have been doing art. Um, as for my experience, I was a caricature artist. I'm an illustrator artist right now. I do Discord emotes. I do stream emotes. I've done PNG tubers. I'm trying to learn how to rig VTubers. And then I also I have experience. I have experience as an art teacher. One of my first jobs was actually as an art teacher at a local gallery. I fell in love with it at first sight. I love teaching art and I love sharing my knowledge with everyone. Um, One of our moderators, Jinx, actually reached out to me to ask for some coaching to help with her art. And if anyone ever wants my assistance one on one, if anyone wants my assistance one on one, or even if you ever want to DM me and say, hey, like, can you help me with this? Absolutely do so. I am here. I am at your guys' disposal. I love being able to help people do art because I feel like everyone should get the solid chance to try to do art because it is a very therapeutic experience. I love doing art and it's one of my, biggest passions. Um, so Pink has been posting every now and again my socials. A lot of my socials can just be found on my link tree. I post very occasionally on Twitter, very occasionally on Instagram, but I'm usually more active here in Pinktopia. I'll usually post a lot of my stuff as I make it in here. So you guys are already in the best place anyway. um, I'm also a streamer as well. I do some. Yeah, that's right. Bark, bark, bark. Let me out of containment today. Um, I'm also a streamer. I stream video games and art and all kinds of stuff. So if you guys ever want to have an experience similar to this, check out my Kick or Twitch wherever I decide to stream. But that's enough of my what is it? My self promotion. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Hashtag free moon. Oh my goodness. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so, so, clothing is a very difficult topic, especially if you're not used to it. Um, so a lot of times when I try to teach, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. When I draw, I bullshit a lot of things. Like, I have a lot of years of experience under my belt, and I've just learned my tips and tricks. So, a lot of my hardest things with this class is how to figure out how to, uh, get it into professional terms, which I'm not professional when I teach these classes anyway. Um, I don't. I want this to be a relaxing kind of class. Um, so I have a few things for you guys today. So I think it's better to teach while I draw. And I think it's better that you guys see what I'm talking about. So I created some sort of dress up dolls today. So I've got some half bodies here. The man here is my OC Cepheus. He's my boy. I love him very much. And then my Sona that you see everywhere. She's fantastic. Of course, I was gonna use my Sona. Cepheus. He's actually a character in the dating sim I created, which I totally forgot to mention. I have created a dating sim demo. He is romanceable, by the way. You may date him whenever I finish the game. And then I have some full bodies so that we can discuss skirts and stuff like that, and pants and stuff like that. We've got my male Sona, Loon, and then my, again, Sona is back. Am I heard? Are we having problems?
I don't know, dog. I'm confused too.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Rocky says I'm good. Alright, perfect. I just want to make sure that we're not having hearing problems. If there's any issues, if you guys can't see the stream or anything like that, do not hesitate to let me know. We'll fix it as soon as possible. Um, absolutely don't hesitate to let me know. Okay. Anyway, this is Loon, my gender bent Sona. He's wonderful, and then of course my Sona's back. Anyway, these are very basic little dress up dolls, and I'm going to post these as well whenever we finish the class. If you guys want to use them to practice clothing as well, you're more than welcome to do so. I really don't mind. Um, it's just easier because I like to see them on the characters and stuff like that. So we can love bomb it. I will after the class, I promise. Okay, so let me open up my folder of all of my references here. I'm gonna pull it up here. So I have a whole crap ton of references here. And after the class, I will be posting the zip file of this folder so you guys are able to get into it and see all of the references I have compiled. Um, so you guys will be able to see anything. Let's start very simple here. And I'm gonna open up this one once my thing loads. Or I could just open it. 1 second. File, import, image. Okay. So for folds and stuff like that, I think the easiest example of showing you how stuff folds are sweaters. Because you can have different types of sweaters. Like you see here, you can have, sweaters that get tucked into the pants. You can have sweaters that roll up. You can do a lot with sweaters. So I'm going to, let's see, I want to find a nice color so that we can kind of see the difference as I'm drawing over the little, maybe a little bit darker. That's good, I think. Okay, so let's do a good old let's do a good old turtleneck sweater because we like turtleneck sweaters and the best time to wear a striped sweater is all the time. So let me explain what I'm doing here in just a second. So when you think of a turtleneck sweater, it kind of like bends at the neck because of how you move your neck. So I do this little indent here to show the bend because what's the word? The collar of your turtleneck sweater is going to be bigger than the rest of the sweater. A lot of things you want to think of when you're doing clothing and stuff like that is you need to find a good reference and look at where like the fabric is stretched because you need to think in ways of fabric. A lot of really easy ways to practice fabric is actually drapery. So if you think of like a blanket, or like if you see like throne pictures where they have these like cloths like draped across the throne, that's a really good way to figure out. So let's say this is like a little thing on the throne, it's gonna pool down at the end. So you want to have that little pool of fabric, and then it's gonna kind of start bending and stuff like that, and it's falling kind of like liquid, you know? Um, that's a lot of how I was able to practice those kinds of folds. But I'm gonna go through like the basic folds that you may want to know, and different types of fabric. So a sweater's like a thicker kind of knit fabric. So you're gonna not have as many folds as if you had like a silk shirt on or something like that. And my best example for this is to look at real life references. However, if you want stuff simpled down, a lot of anime references will help with that as well. Um, I don't think I actually grabbed any sweater, but this might work. This might work to help a little bit. So there are lots of folds you see here, and that can look really overwhelming, but it's really easy once you get down and practice to it. Once you practice it, it gets a little bit easier. It A lot of clothing folds is just a matter of practice. It's a matter of just continuously doing it and experimenting, because what folds may work for one style may not work for your style, if that makes sense. So I am going to go ahead and continue this sweater. So I'm giving my Sona a little bit of a tighter sweater for now, but I'll show you guys the difference of what it would be for uh, a what's the word I'm looking for? Baggier sweater. So I just did the elbow. Yes, the elbow. You're always gonna have folds here at the elbow, because what you want to try to remember, especially with clothing, is where you gonna bend. Where is your arm bending? Where is your chest bending? Where are your legs bending? You kind of want that. You want to think about where things are bending. Same with the top of the sweater that I talked about, have this little curve here to show where things are going to be thinner and more stretched out. Your arm, your wrists, and your hands are going to be a lot more stretched out than, let's say, the shoulder area and stuff like that. Um, and then you can see there's a little bit of a bend here at the waist. You're going to put some folds there. Follow the chest. There's a little bit of a bend here. Put some folds there. And you can, after you finish your sketch and you start finishing things, you can always take or remove folds. It just depends on what looks nice. Okay. And alright. So then with the chest area, I always do one specific thing with the chest area, especially if I'm dealing with female chests. Yeah. Well, you always want to see, I don't like this fold, so I'm going to take it away. You always want to think about where things are bending and where things are stretching. Like with the chest, it's stretching because her titties are big. It's going to stretch. And if you look at your own shirt that you're wearing right now, especially if you have a bigger chest like me, you're going to see that line. Then the stylistic folds. It's not random, it's stylistic. You can see that the fabric is getting stretched. So I do these two lines, and it's just a nice, easy little detail. So then I'm going to follow this, and again, like I had previously discussed, the elbow here where the arm is bending, you're going to have some very pronounced folds here. Okay. recovery information. One moment. Okay. So you're going to have some folds here. This is where I kind of start to add what Sans has said. Random folds, these are my stylistic folds. So as you can see on the little pose here, I've got this little line that, connects to the chest area. I put two little folds here, right here. And I'll also put two folds here depending on, you know, depending on, the shirt that I have. My brain broke for a second. And then sometimes I add a little line here because sometimes you'll have sweaters that have those little lines. But again, those are more of my stylistic. It gives brain super glue. Thanks. Thanks. So I'm going to take away this sketch real quick so you can see this sweater. So a lot of my clothing folds are very simple. I like to keep things simple, especially with my style. But like this style, they have a few more folds than I do. Then again, this one especially has a different pose than I do. I did some very basic poses just so that I had more flexibility in showing you guys stuff. So this would be a very basic, tight-fitting sweater. Very easy folds, right where things bend, nothing else extra, right? And where things bend and stretch, that's pretty much it. So there's one. I'm going to go ahead and take this away, and we're going to give Cepheus here a more baggier sweater. So we're not going to give him a turtleneck. I'm just going to give him a regular old sweater here. And I'm going to puff up the shoulders a little bit. So when I do things that are a little bit baggier, I like to go for an overall shape before I start adding all of my details. However, just to keep myself on track, I'll add some folds right here so I know where I'm going with it. Just very basic. And I'll extend some of the parts of him, and let's say we'll go for a nice tucked in look for him. So we'll do that. Let me extend everything out here. So I'm extending all of the, the arm bits here, which normally wouldn't fly unless you're adding your clothing. Just gonna do some very basic stuff here. Okay. So now that we've got a tucked in look, you can do this little number here, but what I like to do especially is I do little folds here. Ooh, that's big. Too big. I do little folds like this. Again, I do a very simple approach. When you tuck it in, you see all the little folds sticking out, and you can always fix your stuff if you don't feel like it fits or you feel like it's too big. You can always erase and try again. And edit your stuff as you see fit. That's not what I want. And then so you can see it's a very basic little. Of course, thanks, Maniac. You can see a very basic shape in the sweater. It's very chunky, big, looks super comfortable. I could probably fit my head in with him and it would be great. And he would let me because that's just how wonderful he is. So then, same thing with guys. I do that same stretch. Because a lot of my men have big old man titties because I like a big old man titties. So I still do that stretch. So I'm gonna give him the little thing here that I was talking about. Now, let's say Cepheus truly is an old man. I'm gonna give him those little shoulder patches, that old men have when they wear these kinds of sweaters. And then here. And then there's a nice, baggy sweater for our old boy Cepheus. Again, very, very simple folds and stuff like that. Moon, try not to turn the wrong layer off. So it's very simple folds, very simple details. Um, if you want to give it details, you can kind of do like a braid situation, like a cable knit sweater. Just a very basic little cable knit situation. You can always do that. So you can always add details to make things look a little bit better. And details are all up to you. If you guys want to see this sweater with the one little fold on the reference that I had showed, you would put that fold about this corner here and wrap it around like that. And you can drag some of the sweater down so it looks like it's hanging over the pants. And then you can still add the little tucked in folds if you want. Yeah! And then you can even go a step further with some fun details, which is one of my favorites. You can take a little dress shirt and put it under his sweater. I love dress shirt and sweater combos. I think they're very pretty. So you can even go that far and give him a little dress shirt action. Yeah! So that's the basic of sweaters. They're very easy, they're very beginner friendly. You can do a lot with sweaters. So I'm going to save that little layer and hide it, and we're going to bring our babies back. So let's see. Sweaters are cool. So let's say you don't want a closed sweater, right? Let's give Cepheus a scandalous little open sweater. Let's give him a scandalous little cardigan sweater. So with jackets and cardigans, you want to have it follow the curve of the pose you have them in. And then remember that your jackets and your sweaters are going to wrap around. So you want this little bit here to show that you're wrapping around. And then you'll just go the same. If you want it to be a little bit more loose, you make it a little bit more loose. It's the same sleeves, just open this time. And you can still do like little buttons and stuff like that. You can have it half opened, half closed. You can do a lot with sweaters, and they add a really nice kind of detail to an outfit that you normally wouldn't think of. I personally like adding sweaters. I like adding sweaters and vests a lot personally. So you'll add, instead of going for the full, you can just add where the fabric bends and where it stretches. And here's that without Cepheus up there. That would be a good example of a very simple sweater cardigan. Yeah, it's a short bathrobe. Go sweater. You can add little pockets. You can add some buttons here and some little holes for the buttons. You can do a lot with a nice little jacket kind of. You can add, oh, I got you right there. There he is, sexy man. And then for like a shirt under there, you could just do a simple shirt here and do your little relaxed fit here. When I do relaxed shirts, I put this little bend at the end so that you can see it's kind of stretching a little bit and isn't super, is like it's super loose and stuff like that. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna quickly go over what a tight shirt would look like. So I'm going to show you guys how I draw my Sona's outfit. So she has like this black kind of like bodysuit kind of thing, and it's very. This will get posted. Everything I draw here, I save, so I post it in the art class resources and creation discussion, so you guys will be able to get all of this after the class. Don't worry, don't stress about taking screenshots. You can take the screenshots, but in case you forget, they're always going to be there for you guys. So I'm going to walk you guys through what I do for my Sona super quick because it's a good example on tight clothing. So you remember the turtleneck discussion we had just had? She has that. However, this is where we're going to get into the tight clothing. So with tight clothing, you're going to follow every curve. You can see her whole body on her clothing. So she wears some tight stuff. So when I do turtlenecks, I do this little bend here because the turtleneck, again, it stretches there. You know it's gonna be a little well worn there because she has to get her giant ass head through that little turtleneck there. So we're gonna add the chest stretching, and then that's it. That's all I add for her uh, what is it, her folds, because it's so tight that you're not really gonna have too much give for a fold. Like you know it's skin tight, and let's say if I've got her bending over, like you're gonna see a fold here because that's an extreme movement that's gonna have that bend, right? But when she's just chilling out, she doesn't have that many folds on her. So that would be what a tight thing. Let's say she has little knee socks that she wears. What I personally like to do, because she's got thick thighs, is I'll extend the thighs out so you can see them kind of pulling over the the knee socks, because that's what happens when you're a little bit thicker. If you've got a thinner character, you're probably not gonna have that pool. If not, it's probably not gonna be that pronounced, you know. Yep, thick thighs save lives, baby. And then one last on these half bodies, I'm gonna show you guys some dress shirt real quick. Um, a lot of the folds I have shown you will work for lots of shirts, but dress shirts kind of have a different texture than a lot of different shirts. So let's give Cepheus a nice little dress shirt here. Let's give him a button-up one. So dress shirts, if you pay attention to them, they have those little raised collars. I go for the more anime style where you've got the super high raised up collars. But if you want to go for a more realistic collar, you're going to have something lower like this. But I really love the dramatic raised up collars. That's just on me. So I'm gonna save that sketch. You're gonna follow your. Let's give him a little bit baggier of a dress shirt just so I can show more folds. Give him a tucked in look here. And that's. Okay. So that would be kind of the first silhouette of a dress shirt. I'm gonna give him a rolled up sleeve so I can show you guys what a shit ton of folds looks like in my style. We have it go like this. I put the collar wrapped around his arm because if you guys think about having rolled up sleeves, it wraps around your elbow. Give him some pants real quick. Alright. So I'm gonna show you guys what a shit ton of folds looks like. So he's got a rolled up sleeve, right? So I'm just gonna add sort of angular folds because it's gonna be rolled up. You're gonna think about how long the the dress shirt looks, and I usually add about this much because anything more than that makes it look chunky. So with this, there's still folds, but you're not going to see all of them. So I'm just going to add a few, extend out your fabric here just so you can see that it's kind of poking out a little bit. And that would be a rolled up dress shirt kind of look. With dress shirts, I think these little stripes, well, these little lines here, because the dress shirts have those little creases to show off the shoulders a little bit. Yeah! So you're going to have those creases a little bit, and you can angle out the shoulders a little bit more too. So you can do that. And let's give him a tie. Okay? Let's give him a little tie. Your tie is going to follow the lining of the shirt. Unless the character is moving. But he's not, so now he's got a fun little tie. And now we see the boy in a dress shirt. He's a very fancy man. So then let's do my Sona here. We'll do the super high up collar. And I had briefly mentioned that I like doing vests, so let's quickly go over those. I'm going to give her a slightly open collar. We're going to do the same thing like we did with Cepheus, except you're not going to see all this. Your vest, depending on what you use, is going to go down like this. Stop at the shoulders. Stop at the shoulders. So then her vest is going to kind of come down at a point. It's going to fold where her waist bends. And then we're going to have our little chest folds here. And I think I'm going to add a fold here because I think it fits. So we're going to give her a not rolled up one. Your cuffs are going to be more pronounced on your dress shirts than on anything else because the cuffs have that separate cut. We're going to give her that. So I'm going to give her some more pronounced shoulders. And show the cuffs here. Bend at the elbow like I had said. And give it that little line. I'm going to add some details to this little vest here. I really like old Victorian style vests that have these little coils on them, and that's her vest. That's what a normal dress shirt and a vest would look like, right? Pretty simple. Before I move on, do we have any questions? Is there anything that you don't understand or want me to go over again? So when I start playing elevator music. Practice. Practice, my dear friend. Practice, King. I know. Sorry guys, it's not like AI art. You can't just type in a prompt and get a masterpiece. You gotta put some time and passion into it, my friends. Lots of experimenting. Lots and lots. Gotta type a prompt into your brain, right? Okay, so, like I said, all of these that we just went through, I'm going to be posting on the the art resources, so absolutely feel free to go check and look that up. We're gonna move on to the full bodies. See, here's my full bodies. Say hello to Moon and Loon again, my beloveds. Alright, so Now I am going to discuss pants and dresses and skirts. Okay, I'm gonna do pants first. So, you've got different types of pants. You've got jeans, you got skinny jeans, you got leggings, you got slacks. For ease of purpose, we're going to talk about jeans and we're going to talk about slacks because they're two different types of fabrics, so they fall two different types of ways. So, let's give Loon some. Hold on. Let's give Loon some slacks. Alright, so you can have high-waisted and low-waisted pants. For this, I'm going to do some just regular low-waisted pants. So, since we're giving him slacks, if you think of slacks, they have a very straight, well-ironed fit. Um, you're not going to have slacks that really pull onto the legs super much because you want to keep your pants all nice and clean. So with slacks, you're going to have them curl around your ankles and then your knees bend a lot, right? And your knees are going to have a different little, they're going to be used more than like the legs and the thighs. So for knees, I do just a straight like the chest, just two little lines or maybe even just one if I feel like it. Sometimes I'll do one up here. It really just depends on, the kind of pose I'm doing. Since this is straight down, I'm kind of restricted to what I can and can't do. But let's say he's got his leg bent like this. Do a very basic leg here. So let's say his leg is bent. I'm not even going to mess with the knee and uh, just add some folds. Because you're going to bend back there in the back of the leg. But since he's not bending his leg, we're not going to mess with that. So with slacks, I always put this little line here and a button, and then you always have those two lines right there in the, what's the word the crotch area, I guess would be the right word for it. In that area, you're going to have those two lines. I'm going to fix that a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. But there's always going to be those pronounced lines. For pockets, I just do a line here and a here, because you won't really see pockets too pronounced unless you have like a hand in the pocket. And for slacks, you just put a little bit of a line on the cut here. Because again, if you pull up a picture of slacks right now, they're going to show you that nice line there. And that's our boy in some nice fancy slacks. And with pants, you can also add some details, give him a little bit of a keychain here. I like to give them little keychains like that because I think it's fun and it's a nice little detail to add. Because sometimes when you do things a little bit basic like this, you want to add some details to make it look nicer. That's kind of a trick. While you're practicing, you can add some details to make it look kind of nicer. But that's a very basic sketch of pants. Well, not, slacks. So we're going to give Miss Moon here some jeans. I'm going to do hers a little bit higher up so I can show the higher up. Let's give her some rolled up jeans so I can show that. Some capris. I cannot remember the last time in my life I have ever worn capris. Okay, so jeans. Jeans are a lot more casual than slacks. So you're gonna have more folds, capris. You're gonna have a lot more folds than you do with slacks. So pockets are the same dealio. Sometimes I don't even add pockets, but that's, you know, that's up to everyone. So the knees. I like to add these for the knees when I do jeans. And then sometimes I'll even add little thigh stuff. And since this is rolled up, I'm going to add a few folds at the roll because you can see that it's being pushed up onto the leg. Right? And we could do the same thing with her that we did with Loon and give her a little keychain. And it adds a little bit more depth. Right? Makes sense? Do pants kind of make sense? Pants are a little bit easier than shirts for me because it's a lot easier to imagine the bend and the folds of pants. I am going to stop now for questions. If anyone has, not as many weird folds because you don't have to worry about like elbows and shoulders and stuff like that. So pants are a lot easier because about the only thing that's going to bend with pants is your knees. So it makes it a little bit easier. Do we have any questions before I move on to skirts and dresses? By the way, I will be putting Loon in a skirt or a dress. We are an equal opportunity art class. What are... hold on. Let me look up what that is, because I don't know what those are. Ah, okay, so they're baggier. We can go over baggy stuff real quick. I can do that real quick. Let's see. Let me make a new layer here. Alright, let's give Loon... Yes, sweatpants. Yep, I can do that. Not a problem. We can do sweatpants and pajama pants super quick. So let's give him some nice poofy pants. I'm a little bit of a pajama pants and sweatpants enjoyer myself. So it's the same kind of situation as the baggy sweater where you're gonna extend out your silhouette of your character, but the thing with like these, like the kind of pants I'm drawing right now, they're gonna stop at your ankle. This is kind of like an over exaggerated version of a jogger, right? So you're gonna have the little folds at the knee, you're gonna extend out your silhouette, and they're gonna kind of fold at the knees too. They're gonna kind of fold into themselves just because that's where you're bending a lot. Oop, wrong way. And then add the little... Let's see here. To give him a more kind of relaxed... Ooh, wait, I know exactly what to do. So because it's more baggier, I'm making the crotch area more, you know, stretched out and relaxed. Might add some details here, and we're probably gonna have some stretchage here at the bottoms because it just gets, you know, pulled back down. Let me see, maybe a little indent would help here. Just a little bit, just adding some details where you see fit for them. Because it doesn't always have to be little lines and stuff like that. It can be little indents, it can be, let's say, sometimes I do this myself where I'll extend out the fabric for just one little line and keep this middle line here, but then have that extended fabric out there. So you can do a lot with baggier fabric. And you can kind of add them as you see it, as you feel like it fits. But if you're ever unsure, pulling up a reference and stuff like that really helps. I cannot stress enough in every art class that I do that using references will save your life. Don't ever let anybody tell you not to reference things because they're lying through their teeth. So that would be more of like a baggier look. So let's go even baggier over here, and let's say we give her some pajama pants. I'm gonna make it even hanging down here because sometimes, I don't know about you guys, when I'm wearing my pajama pants and I'm just chilling, I don't really care if it's on all the way, especially if they're one of my more baggier ones. So you can always make that slant and make that decision as you see fit. So these, I'm going to give them a more straight cut and make them more like pulled down at the legs that we didn't really get to see. So it's no secret that I'm short as hell, so I'm used to my legs kind of pooling down, so I will add some more folds and stuff like that for that to account for the extra fabric that's pooling at my ankles. So you can have that and make your little pockets. Right? Super comfy, super nice. You can add some more folds because they're super loose fitting, so you're gonna have those extra bits and bobs hanging around there. Make sense? Perfect. Alright, let us move on to dresses and skirts. And that will probably be all that I have time to talk about. If we want outfit design to be a whole separate topic, we can do that. But we're going to talk about dresses and skirts, and then we're going to call it. Okay? Sound like a plan? Alright, sounds great. Let's give Loon a skirt, guys. Let's give him a skirt. I feel like he deserves one. I feel like absolutely dreamer. Thank you for being here. Um, so let's give him a skirt. Let's give him a super frilly skirt, guys. So skirts are super easy, at least for me. So skirts, you want to kind of think of it like a circle. So let's say I want to give him a more movement skirt. So your skirt, I'm going to have it drag down and then lift up a little bit here. That's going to be like the jacket kind of phenomenon I was telling you about. Remember that it wraps. It wraps around. So this is a very basic outline for a skirt, but we're going to make it better. We're going to give him some pleats. So your pleats are going to kind of go out and back in. You're going to look at your movement of the skirt and you're going to do it that way. And we're going to add more details. We're going to add more details because the skirts get a little bit detailed. They can get a little bit extra. So, I'm going to add some little triangles is what I'll call them. I call these little triangles, and I'll take off the sketch here in a second so you can see them just a smidge better. It adds a bit more dimension to the skirt that you wouldn't usually have. And I think that asymmetrical is key, so I'm going to edit some of these real quick. It kind of looks... Again, it's a lot of experimenting. It's a lot of figuring out what you like and what you don't like. So I think this little asymmetrical look works really well, and it adds a bit more detail you wouldn't usually get. So let's say I want to add even more detail. Let's give him some little lace at the bottom here. I do very basic bubble lace because I haven't quite learned how to do the super fancy lace yet. I would like to, so maybe we'll learn that together. And then on this little circle we have going on here, we're going to add some more. And there he is. He has a very beautiful skirt. He has a very wonderful skirt. And we can even go so far as to give him a little bow in the back of the skirt and have the bow stretch out a little bit cuz he's just a king. He loves to wear his skirts. Yes. Brush packs are a savior, but one of the things I try to do with this class also is to be able to, have help for people who do traditional art because you're not going to have a lace brush pack to help to do your traditional art with. I want the skirt he has, right? Very cute skirt. Let's say, so he's got that really cute frilly skirt. Let's give Moon a little bit of a tighter skirt because she's a queen. Give her that nice little gap here. This would be called a pencil skirt. Now, these tighter skirts, you can just do a little fold number here to show the lawyer skirt. You can do the little fold here. And then another nice detail is you could follow and do one little bit here to show that it's still wrapping around. And then that would just be a very simple, tighter skirt. She would slay that skirt, let's be honest. And let's say I wanted to turn this skirt into a dress. Let's give her a beautiful dress. You just figure out what cut of dress you want and connect it to the skirt and take away the this here, and I'm gonna add the normal torso folds that we were talking about, right? um, and then she kind of bends here, and that would give her a nice pretty dress, right? That'd give her a nice little pretty party dress. Let's do a more frilly dress. Do we give Moon or do we give Loon the nice frilly dress? I'll let you guys vote on that one. Are we gonna turn Loon into a very pretty princess? Alright. So let's give him a nice pretty dress. So I like doing princess dresses a lot. And those are really fun, especially for details. So let's give him a nice, like, kind of belle dress. So I gave him, when you're doing ribbon stuff, that's another thing I could talk about. Ribbon stuff, you're gonna have it wrap around the arm and do a little line to show that it's stretching. You know, like a nice little stretch ribbon. And he's gonna have his snatched little waist. And I'm gonna do this little, like Disney princess kind of thing. This helps me, especially when I'm doing princess dresses. Whether or not I keep it depends on the illustration or the type of dress I'm doing, but that's that. And when you do big princess dresses, it's gonna go all the way down to the bottom. Pardon me. It's gonna be all the way down to the bottom. Now this is where the fun begins. This is what I love the most. You can do so much with a big, pretty princess dress. You could give him these little curly things here to add some dimension. You can give him a little bow in the back, and with bows you can have two little folds here, or you could just have it straight up and have like a fold here to show that it's there. You can layer it out like this. I mean, there's so much you can do with a very gorgeous princess dress that you can't do with a lot of normal skirts and dresses and stuff like that. And again, it's very much up to your own design. You can use plenty of references. Um, but you could do a nice little dress like that. And he looks very handsome in this dress. He is a very pretty princess. um, but that would be a really good example of a really pretty dress you could do. If you don't like these little squares that I just did, um, you could even do something as simple as the skirt I had given him, where you just show uh, the pleats of the dress. That's the wrong brush. So I'm going to go bit by bit, do some lines bit by bit. The asymmetrical bit will really help, and it's always going to try to converge here at this little connection point. Bit by bit, extend it out a little bit. Let's say we want to give him a fluffy bottom. Just do the little circles, and it gives a nice little fluffy bottom. Right? Makes sense? Pretty dress. Pretty gorgeous princess dress, right? And he looks very wonderful in his dress. Um, and you can always shorten this out. Let's say we give Moon a more traditional magical girl look. We'll do... You can do a lot with a bunch of frills and stuff like that. Let's give her a more tank top kind of cut and give her some frills here at the top. Maybe some fluffy sleeves. Do a little bit of a circle thing here. We're just going to go insane on details. Right? Outline her boobs. And give her a big old poofy skirt. Yeah, like Sailor Moon. Very much so. So do a little bit of a pleat action here. You can add a little belt for detail if you want. You can add a lot of details to pretty dresses, you know? So then there would be a really nice, like, basic magical girl. You could do a little bow here, like Sailor Moon. Like, this is a very Sailor Moon kind of dress. And you can do a lot with your dresses and stuff like that. You can add some stripes here. Again, I really like the asymmetrical stripes here. I feel like it adds a lot more detail than you would normally get. Right? Makes sense, right? So you can add a bunch of details. You could give her little boots and stuff like that. And I would go over shoes, but I'm still learning shoes myself. So I do very basic shoes. So let's do some little basic boots here. Just some X's to show some shoelaces and the bends where it's gonna go and stuff like that. So that's very basic dress work. You can make very cute dresses, or you can make form-fitting dresses, but that goes with the discussion about loose versus tight-fitting clothing, right? Do we have any questions before I end the class and we do our drawing for the giveaways? Alright. Okay. So, you learned a lot. Yay! I'm glad you learned a lot. And again, like I had said, if you guys drew along with me, I would love to see what you drew. If you guys